Hey guys, I'm here today to do part 1 of my Christmas book haul. So I have 8 books to show you in this video and then 8 books to show you in the next video. I probably could have done it in one video, but I have a tendency to really run on and lots of my videos have been really long lately, so I thought I'd try and avoid that. So, firstly, I'm always super excited to do my Christmas book hauls, and secondly, I'm even more excited because Johnny and I finished putting up my new bookshelves on Christmas Eve and I put all my books on them on Boxing Day, so this is the first time I've been able to film in front of them. And they're still not like completely finished, there's some things I want to add to them like knickknacks, and there's still a few gaps I've left for books as I finish them, but I'm very excited to have them. I'll still need loads more because about half of my books that I've read aren't shelved and none of my unread books are shelved, so I still need to try and figure that out, but we're getting there and it's very exciting and I love them, so I'll try and show you them in a video at some point soon. So I'm going to crack on with the books now. So the first one I got, most of the books I got, or the vast majority of books I got, I'd added to a wish list, and I actually added a wish list and just like sent a link to Johnny, and my mum like always knows about the link for Christmases, and I assumed maybe I'd just get a couple, but Johnny was absolutely glorious and just bought me every single book from the wish list, so yeah, thanks Johnny. So I've got quite a few books to show you, but this first one was a surprise and it was sent by the lovely Jen, and it's Prudence and Her Amazing Adventure by Charlotte Gastaut, and it is absolutely beautiful. Now, the vast majority of this looks like a silent picture book, because you open it up and the first couple of pages are like this, there's just a ridiculous amount of words, and I assume it's her being told off by her parents, and then the rest of the picture book, I guess she goes into this sort of like dreamland and it becomes silent. I don't really want to show you much more because I don't really want to spoil myself, but what I will say is there's lots of cutouts, obviously you can tell it's beautiful, and there's lots of transparent pages so you can see through them to the next image, and so each image like unfolds to another one and it's glorious. Very much looking forward to looking through this later. Jen knows I really love like beautifully illustrated children's books, so really happy with that one. And then I have another couple of like books for like younger-ish readers, so I have a middle grade and a YA, and then like the vast majority of books I got were for adults. So the first one is Deeplight by Hardinge. So I have read The Library, and do you know what? I didn't love it as much as I hoped I would. I really thought I would absolutely adore it. I didn't, but I could see that she is an author I could really enjoy. So I also have A Skinful of Shadows, which I haven't read yet. It's very naughty of me to ask for a book by an author when I own another one I haven't read. I try not to do that, but this cover could not be ignored. So this is set on an island and we follow a couple of people who are scavengers, and they dive into the ocean and they collect relics left by the gods. And they find out about a relic that is in the deep undersea, which is like calling out to be found, and so they go down there to try and get it, and adventure ensues. And this just looks beautiful. It's been really wonderfully put together. It has a map. I mean, as soon as a book has a map, you know, like bonus points, it's just going to be better. I love looking back to the map, and then the spine has all different undersea creatures on it. It's just been really wonderfully put together. Yeah, I mean, it's always going to make me want to have a book more just because it's glorious, but it also sounds lovely. And what I will say is, for every single one of these books, when my family had left, Christmas Day was lovely, but Christmas Day is always a really long day I find, and they left just after 10 o'clock. And after I tidied everything up and got to bed about 11:30, I pulled all these books onto the bed with me and I read the first couple of pages of each of them. And I really loved the first couple of pages of this. It seemed really magical and just so filled with like ocean vibes, so really excited for it. So this next one is beautiful but in a completely different way, and that is Hold Still by LaCour. So I read We Are Okay by LaCour earlier in the year and I really enjoyed it. I actually think I might do a video talking about all the YA books I read, some of which I DNF, but I did read quite a few YA books from having read like 0 probably the year before. I read quite a few in 2019. So if you'd be interested in that video, then let me know. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold, so I sound a bit awful. But I really enjoyed We Are Okay, and so I just wanted to get another one of her books, and so I didn't even look into this, to be honest. I just knew it was by her. The cover is beautiful, and one thing I will say for YA is that the illustrations coming out on YA covers at the moment is absolutely phenomenal. I've been watching a lot of people's anticipated releases for 2020. Some of the covers on YA books is just so beautiful. The illustrators they get to do them, yeah, wonderful. So this is one of those books that I just think is like beautifully illustrated. But the premise actually sounds quite depressing. We Are Okay was quite a bleak book, but it was handled with a lot of subtlety and tact, so I'm hoping this is the same. So you follow a young girl whose best friend just committed suicide, and she is completely shocked by it, but her best friend left behind a journal sort of writing a letter as to why it happened. And we follow the next year of this friend's life as she tries to get past her best friend's suicide, and as she reads this journal and tries to sort of reconnect with her best friend, and I think forgive her for leaving her behind. So yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a really difficult read, but I'm hoping really well handled. So there is that. Then I have a stack of graphic novels. So my mum picked me this one up, and I've actually read this one. It was one of my favourite books of 2019. Spoiler alert. So this is Good Talk, Memoir and Conversations by Mira. I absolutely love this one. I got it out of the library, and as soon as I read it, I was like, oh my god, like I need to own this because I need to reread it like so many times. There's so much to get from it. So Mira is a first generation Indian American. She married a white Jewish man and they had a son together. And the vast majority of this book is about conversations she has with her family and friends, triggered really by her son asking her, like, am I black or am I white? And her having to say to him, well, you're not really either, you're brown. And then him asking a lot of questions about what it means to be a brown boy in America, bearing in mind that Trump had just got in, he was seeing lots of things in the papers. And this is just amazing. So the way this is done is that she creates paper cutouts of herself and all the people in her life. And then she takes photos of those paper cutouts on top of images. So like that, for example, and then she draws speech bubbles. So the faces never change, which some of the conversations they're having are really difficult conversations. And so the fact that the images of those faces are static just really works. It's really hard to describe. So yeah, I absolutely love that one. I'm very, very happy to own a copy. And then when I really enjoyed that one, I heard quite a few people talk about this next one as like having similar themes. So I asked for this one, and this is I Was Their American Dream, a graphic memoir by Malaka Gharib. I hope I've said that wrong. Apologies if I haven't. So this is about an Egyptian Filipino. She grew up with her Filipino family, but her father is Muslim and lives in Egypt, and she goes to spend her summers with him. So this is about her not really knowing her place in America, and being asked a lot of the time, like, what are you? Like, what race are you? And her not really knowing how to answer that question, and having to live with the pressure of both families, and her being their American dream. So I love graphic memoirs. They're my favourite type of graphic books. So this one sounds really interesting as well. And then I have a few graphic novels to show you. So the first one is quite a small one. This is When I Arrived at the Castle by Emily Carroll. So I loved her collection of stories. I thought they were really, really beautiful. It's called Through the Woods, and there's like 5 or 6 stories, and they're all inspired by like fairy stories, and they're done in primary colours, and they're quite graphic, and they're very eerie, perfect for Halloween. And I heard this one mentioned. It's very short. It's, God, probably like 80 pages. And I think this is based around vampires, as you can see from the cover, and I just really wanted to read something more from her. I love her artwork, and even though it was a really little one, I thought I'd really like to have a copy and like support her and carry on reading whatever she brings out. So there is that one. And then these next two are both from First Second, and they're a graphic novel publisher, and they bring out some amazing graphic novels, so I'm always interested to see what they have coming out. So this is Bloom by Kevin Panetta and Savanna Ganicheau. I hope I've said that right. And I really loved Heartstopper volumes 1 and 2 this year, and whenever I looked into them, the first book that was recommended was Bloom, and I knew I had to get a copy. It's really beautiful. It's a little bit pricey, but actually when I unwrapped it, it is around 350 pages, and it's really chunky. There's a lot of artwork, a lot of text to a page, so you know, prior to reading it, I feel like it's worth the money that was paid for it. It wasn't my money, but you know what I mean. So this is about, let me have a little look, Ari, who is dying to move to the big city with his ultra hip band after high school finishes, and he's trying to get his dad to agree for him to quit his job at their struggling family bakery. But then Hector starts working at the bakery, and they become closer over batches of bread, and you follow that story and the two of them. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm just hoping it's really heartwarming and uplifting and just joyous. So there is that. And I love graphic novels, and I think that First Second tend to publish a lot of graphic novels that do this, that have a colour palette that's like all in one shade. So this is all blue, like the whole way through, as you can see. And they also published This One Summer by Gillian at Mariko Tamaki, which is one of my favourite graphic novels, and that's all purples and lilacs, and quite a similar art style, I think. So yeah, just hoping to love this one as much as I loved that one. And this last one, I only heard about like a couple of weeks before Christmas, and just, to be honest, I saw the front cover and I was like, need to bloody have it. So I didn't really look into it that much. I just knew it had good reviews and looked beautiful. So this was Our Pact by Ryan Adams, and I think this is actually like a middle grade graphic novel, so it just sounds like a really cool adventure story. So it's about a group of teenage boys who make a pact to follow some lanterns. So at the annual Autumn Equinox Festival, the town gathers to float paper lanterns down the river. Legend has it that when they drift away, they become part of the Milky Way and they become stars. So these boys all make a pact to follow these lanterns. And it ends with only our main character and this other boy who's like a bit quiet and a bit weird and outside the circle of friends staying, and all the others break the pact. And then they meet a talking polar bear and adventures ensue. So yeah, this sounds glorious. Again, really tonal. It's nearly all in like blacks and blues, so a bit darker than Bloom, but I'm very excited about that one as well because it just looks beautiful. So those are all the books I'm going to show you in this video. Please let me know if you've read them or if you're intrigued by them, and as always, please feel free to recommend me books that you think might suit my reading taste based on what I've just shown you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!